Hello and welcome to Energy Secrets for Conscious Leaders. Today my guest is Karen Haller. Karen is based in the UK, originally from Australia. She's a global expert in the field of behavioral design and color psychology. She helps businesses and design professionals to use color and design to improve well-being, support mental health, and create positive change in the world. Karen consults and collaborates with companies looking for innovative solutions to social problems who seek new ways of improving the human experience in balance with nature. She's also helped hundreds of design professionals around the world to deepen their knowledge of color through her sought-after color and design psychology courses. Karen is the best-selling author of The Little Book of Color, translated to date in 14 languages, and a contributing author for the color design theories and applications, as well as being an in-demand media commentator and international speaker. Karen's mission is to raise awareness of how color can transform our lives, allowing us to connect back to our authentic self. Welcome, Karen.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Lovely. And perhaps we could actually start with that last sentence that I've just read out in your bio about color transforming our lives and bringing us back to our authentic selves. Could you say a little bit more about that, please?
Yes, gosh, I could talk about that for days. The wonderful world of color. Color is emotion. Color is the way that we express ourselves without saying a word, without having to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So we are communicating all the time through the colors that we are wearing, the colors that we surround ourselves with, the colors that we choose to be in, the colors that we have on our branding, whether that's our business, or sometimes people have personal branding. Everything that we do with color, because everything has color on it. There's not one thing. I mean, if we can see a surface and we can see it, it has a color on it.
Yeah.
So color is always informing us in some way, but it's definitely always having an emotive experience, or we're having an emotive experience with color. And so it is the most wonderful way for self-expression. And that's what I mean by that in a nutshell.
Yeah. So the second point of the question is about, people being their authentic selves. Because there's a difference, isn't there, sometimes between personal expression and what people think they want to be communicating for others, like they're trying to create a certain impression, as opposed to expressing themselves, in a truly authentic way, something that really comes from the inside. Because I think we use color in a protective way as well, particularly maybe with our clothing, but maybe also with our branding. We think our business needs to project something, but it actually might not be projecting us. It might be a mismatch.
Yeah. So, and that's exactly the point I was going. When you talked about what's the difference sort of with that authentic self, it is very much from who we are from the inside out. So, and that takes courage. That takes courage to, because it's almost like you're wearing your soul in your colors.
Yeah.
You are saying, this is who I am. And for a lot of people, that could be not an easy experience, because they might feel that they're being rejected, or they're being judged, or they're not being accepted. And really, other than, if you take food, water, shelter away, the thing that's most important to us is being accepted and being loved. So quite often what happens with clothes, or what happens with colors, is that we will wear something in the hopes of being acceptable or accepted to whoever that community is, whoever that tribe is, whoever we want to fit in with. And the irony is that most people are all just looking at what everyone else has done in order to try and fit in. And it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, if that's even the right term. But if, so in the UK, there was a paint company that had a certain paint name. And everybody was saying they had that on their walls at home, and there'd be dinner parties all talking about it. And so people would feel left out if they didn't have it. So people were all painting their homes with this particular paint color to say, I've got such and such on my walls. But I had a lot of them actually say to me, it makes me tired, it makes me drain, it doesn't make me happy. And I go, well, so why are you using it? And they said, oh, because everyone else is. So
what's in fashion?
Yeah, what's in fashion. So following fashion, following trends, which is what a lot of people do, in order to fit in, because maybe they haven't investigated or really gone within. So the easiest thing to not go within is to look what everyone else is doing or look what's happening and think that's the answer. But we're never quite at home with ourselves. We're never quite comfortable. We feel like we belong. We feel like we fit in, and yet instinctively, and this is the intuition, we know that there is something that's missing. We know that there's something that's not right. And so, and it's very easy for us all to do, is that we can then go outside of ourselves trying to find the answer. And the answer is always in here, right? The answer is always within us. And that's the same with color. It's exactly the same, because color is emotion. It's the emotional expression. So everything actually starts from within here. And that's very much what I advocate. That's what I advocate. In fact, when I wrote the book, so I'll just hold that up so people know when you're talking about the book in the intro. When I was writing this book, and Penguin commissioned me, and I thought, oh, fantastic, I get to write a book about colour. Anyhow, I was 3/4 of the way through the book, and it just dawned on me. I went, this can't just be a book on colour. And I thought, well, that's not right, because that's what they've commissioned me to do. And now I'm actually having doubts that it's a book on colour. And then it dawned on me, and it was 3/4 of the way through that it dawned on me. I just went, oh, this isn't a book on colour. This is a book about coming home to self. This is a book about self-expression. And that's why that is in the intro, or the first, I think, 1 or 2 paragraphs of the book, really sums up everything of what the book is about, because it is very much about who we are from the inside out.
Lovely. I'd love to talk more about the book in a minute, but as you're talking, I was thinking of, one thing that I would like to, sort of talk about more with you, because we're talking about, color as self-expression. And I think, everybody can probably, see that that's a good idea, but yet we're up against a huge amount of psychology employed by fashion companies. And as you say, paint companies, interior design companies, all of whom do buy into, the color of the season, the fashion of the year. So we've got an awful lot of messaging to work against to sort of have that confidence, or even get in touch with our personal colors. I mean, one thing that I often think, I think it's women's clothing in the UK in the stores. I think it's something like very high, like about 80% of the clothing has some black in it. Really high. And we all get trained into wearing a lot of black as women. I actually eradicated it from my wardrobe a couple of
So when you mean trained into, what do you mean by that?
Well, because we're given it's the messaging around it, the fashion messaging that black is.
Oh, right. Black is slimming, and that black is sophisticated, and yeah.
And there's lots of black in the stores. So when you go and you look at it and you see the bulk in black, sometimes it's easiest to buy black. But I note that, in your book, you did have some very particular things to say about black and also about gray. So I'd love for you to repeat maybe some of those messages with you.
Yeah, so I think the first thing is, if we understand that marketing and trends and color of the year and all that, if you just see that as simply as sales, it's a way to drive sales. And it's almost like we're playing into the consumer market, into consumerism. And I hope that's a big kind of aha moment for a lot of people, because if you think about it, you're buying a color or colors that somebody else has said is the color of the year, you want to belong and you want to fit in, you have to actually pay money for that. It's likely that it might go to the back of your wardrobe, or when the next color of the year is out or the next season's colors are out, you won't wear those clothes anymore and you go and buy new. It's really costly, and you're keeping those businesses in profit and making sales based on, and they know quite often there's a thing called, FOMO, fear of missing out. There's that. There's also playing on people's vulnerabilities. It is all psychology, and marketing is all psychology. So if you can separate that and don't buy into all of it, but observe it, just be a conscious observer, because a lot of the times this is happening on the subconscious level, and people aren't even realizing that's what they're doing. But if you are consciously aware, and it might be that you really love a color, but you know it's not right for you, you can still buy it in a bunch of flowers, or you could still buy it in some easy way that means that it's not expensive and you haven't invested a lot of money. Because why not just have a wardrobe full of clothes that you absolutely love, and when you open it, in fact, I'm going a little bit of a tangent, but the amount of women that say to me, I have a cupboard full of clothes and when I open it up, I've got nothing to wear.
Yeah.
And that is such a standard saying, because what they're looking for is the energy isn't there. The emotion or the positive feelings that they want from those colors, they haven't got, because it's not there in their wardrobe. And yes, the thing about black, it's quite interesting, because I have a lot of friends that work in fashion, and they say that what they do with a lot of the stores, they will put the trend or the fashion colors in the window, because they know that will bring the people in, because people love, it's just our nature that we love new things, and we love to see things like new colors, new designs. We get very attracted to that. So we walk in the store, but 9 out of 10 people will walk out with something that is either black, gray, or white, or navy. And for adults, they're the 4 biggest selling colors. And then of course for children, it's pink and blue, or babies. So the other thing then about black, I'm just trying to think of all your questions. The other thing about black is that it's actually a myth that black is slimming. That, I think that was started by Coco Chanel. She was quite a slim lady herself. And I think that's kind of I would say that was a marketing ploy. And in fact, I would set a challenge for everyone here. The next time you hear somebody say that, ask them what that means. It's because a lot of people, they even say it on the television, black is slimming, but I've never heard once anyone say why, because they don't know why. What could be happening on a psychological level? So while black is, yes, we get told black is sophisticated and black is elegant, and those are 2 positive qualities in color psychology about black. But what black also does is it allows you to hide and not be seen. And so quite often, I think what's really happening is when women are wearing black, they're not being seen, and they're blending into the background, and they're hiding. And so perhaps psychologically, they're thinking by not being seen, they're somehow slimmer. But if you have, as I say, if you have a black bag, garbage bag full, and you have a white garbage bag full, and you ask, and this has been done many times, majority of people will say the black bag looks heavier. So black adds gravitas, it adds weight. I don't mean physical weight, but it adds, the gravitas weight. So black doesn't actually make you look lighter. It actually, because it's dense and because it absorbs all the light, it actually looks heavier. It gives the illusion of being heavier, I should say. So if this is the reason why you're wearing black, And black is also a color of safety. This is another really big important thing. In psychology, black is the color that helps you feel safe. But I can guarantee you there will be other colors that will support you in a more positive way where you will still feel safe.
And I was thinking more like from professional grounds, maybe people, it's considered that black is professional. And of course, men in the workplace would also be wearing predominantly dark.
Yeah. So black in the workplace, black is unquestioning authority. Black is do as I say, don't question me. Did you imagine them wearing black in a kindergarten or a primary school? You'd absolutely terrify the children. But if you were, say, in year 12, I don't know what you call it here in the UK, sixth form, like your last year of high school, the teacher might wear black because they want to come across as more authoritative. But it is there is no conversation. It is one way, and it is very, I'm the boss, I'm the leader, and what I say is unquestioned. You don't question it. So it is not at all a color that is. It's very imposing. So in my previous career, when I worked in IT, and I was a project manager, big web development, and I would manage up to 30 men, so there'd be developers developing big corporate websites. And this is before I did any color psychology training, and nobody told me to wear black, but I instinctively wore black as a way, to protect myself, because it was really hard. It was hard being the only female. I felt it was hard. I'm not saying it was. I felt it was hard. I wanted them to listen to me, because when you are a tall blonde, you're not, there's a stigma attached to this, and you're not taken seriously, for the majority of the time. So I wore black so that they knew that I was the manager. They had to listen to me, because it's big multi-million-pound contracts and work that you have to put through. You can't just go, oh well, we'll just be late. Like I had a really, it was a really important role, and I didn't want them to mess with me. I wanted them to know I meant business and that I wasn't someone who was some pushover. So I chose to wear black, but I also looked very hard. I looked very unfriendly. I was not my true self at all, and it absolutely exhausts me. And that's the thing, a lot of the times when women wear black, and men who, if it's not for their personality type, because only a certain personality type can wear that and look great in it and actually get energized by it. But for the rest of us, we are left drained. Our face looks strained. We look tired. We're exhausted. And it's quite often then why people wear a really bright scarf or something really bright with it, because they're trying to negate the draining energy of the black by putting a color that is so bright to try and counteract it. And that in itself is still exhausting. So yeah, there's a lot, black isn't evil. Like it's not wrong. It's just not right on the wrong people, on the people that doesn't suit and doesn't positively support. So I think, having said all that, it's wear colors that positively support you, and that energize you. And I don't mean energize as in a jack in the box and jumping off, bouncing off the ceiling. Even the most quiet and the most subtle of us can wear very soft, muted colors, and that is energizing for them, because their own energy is very soft, and so they wear colors that are very soft for them. Whereas me, I'm actually a spring personality, so I wear lighter colors. I don't wear really bright, but I mean, some people will consider this bright, but I wear colors that resonate then with my personality type.
Yeah. And so moving on to branding then, what are the considerations when somebody is considering branding, either as a self-employed, I know you work both, don't you? Work with people self-employed, but you also work with larger
corporates,
corporations.
yeah.
So if we're talking about somebody who has a, you know, is either self-employed or has a small business where they want to put, where partly, you know, some of what they're offering is, they want to put their unique stamp on it, and clear that it's their business as opposed to anybody else's. What do they need to consider?
Yeah, do you know, I do this exactly the same. Doesn't matter how big the brand is. In fact, working with big corporate brands, this part is normally the hardest, is that I ask the brand to get back down to who their authentic soul of the brand is. What's the authentic personality? A lot of brands are very good at doing the work that they do. So it might be a product. So they're very good at innovation and bringing out new products. And they're very much in the head. So a lot of brands are very in the head. What I do is I connect, I find their heart. There needs to be a heart and a soul, a heart and soul, and a head connection, a mind, a logic connection, these two together. So a lot of really big corporate brands have lost sight of the heart, and a lot of small individual brands are very heart-based, but the logic and the rationale and that bit is missing. So it's these two things to be considered, to be married. It is also not picking your favorite color. It's not picking the color you love. And if you have a designer who says to you, oh, well, I've done the word mark or I've done the logo, what colors do you like? That's because it's not about you. It's about who you are in service to, because you are attracting and you are showing up and saying as a brand, this is who my brand is. This is what my brand stands for. This is my brand personality. This is my brand values. In fact, I'm doing a branding for a gentleman at the moment, and it was very much about connecting these two things. And it is him as a brand, but he understands that it's showing up authentically. Your big why, you know, all of these sort of questions, you know, your brand personality, your brand values, your big why, what you stand for, what would the world not have if you weren't doing the work that you do. So it's all about being in service for your audience. And all that information, excuse me, and a lot more, can all then come down to colors. And so what you're doing is, whenever we look at anything, we see the color first. So if you go shopping, so next time you go out shopping, you will notice the colors first. When you're looking online, when you're seeing a brand that you've never seen before, you will take in the colors first, and you will already be having an emotive reaction, an emotional response on the subconscious from the colors that you see. Then you read the words, and the words, so the colors is the emotional bit, and the words are the conscious. That's the conscious logic. When you're reading the words, what you're doing without realizing is the words that you're reading, you're seeing if that's matching the emotion that you're feeling from the colors that you saw. And it's not just the one color, it's all the colors together. So you could have the right blue and the right, you could have the colors right, as in a blue and an orange, for instance, but they might be the wrong blue and the wrong orange, because it could be a cool and what you needed was a warm blue, for instance. So while you're reading it, you're subconsciously seeing if that's matching your emotions. If that's a mismatch, and you won't know this is happening, if that's a mismatch, you'll go, oh, this brand doesn't get me. There's something about this brand that's not right. It doesn't feel right. I don't believe them. And then you're likely to move on. But if everything is in alignment, then you go, then you know that you can go, this brand gets me, this brand understands me, because it is actually all about us. It's about us, the consumer. It's not about the brand. And we're all consumers, and we all do this. Oh, they get me, they understand me, I belong, I fit in, this is right for me. And then if you've got all that in alignment and someone rings you up, you've got a warm lead, right? You're not getting the wrong type of client. And a lot of people that come to me for branding It's because they go, I get lots of clients, but they're all the wrong kind, or they're not the kind that I want. Why am I attracting the wrong type? And when we do the analysis and have a look, I say, because this is how your brand is showing up and this is who you're attracting. And actually, it's in perfect alignment. It's just not who you want to serve. Yeah. So this is, as human beings, we're always looking for, we're always calibrating for harmony. We're always calibrating for things that make sense. And when things make sense, we don't have to make that decision. We just know it's right. So if everything is in alignment, all it is then for that person when they're looking at a website is to go, this person is right for me or they're not. And if they're not, they were never your client, and you don't want to attract the ones that aren't right for you. You want that to be your first, like a gatekeeper. Do you know what I mean? And so you know if anyone emails you or anyone rings you, they're the ideal client. And in fact, last year, it took me quite a long time, but last year for my consultancy website, I rebranded. And that's when having a web background is so handy, because I could design my website, but I got a design, what do you call it? An art director to then do the layout. And then I got a web developer to code it all for me, but I did the colors and everything. And I spent so much time on my words, but also to make sure they match what people were seeing and experiencing. And the amount, every person who has inquired about working with me has been my ideal client. And I'm just like, and it's not that I'm amazed, but I'm amazed. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, isn't that wonderful that it's working? It's wonderful that it's working.
Absolutely. And so I think for the audience, this is the big energy secret from this interview. The takeaway here is how much impact this has on your business of getting that branding.
Absolutely.
How much it can actually really simplify and make your marketing a lot easier to attracting the people that your ideal clients. That this is something that you should put some time and investment into, not something that can just, it's not important.
Yeah, it's not like, sometimes I'm sure everyone's had the painter come around and paint in the house, and the painter's there and they said, what color do you want? Oh, I don't know. Well, quick, go to the shops and quickly go and get it. And you've got an hour. Oh my God, what am I going to paint it? Quite often people will find themselves the same when they've had maybe their graphic designer say to them, well, what color do you want? And it's like, oh, I haven't thought of it. Well, can you? Because I'm doing a website. Don't leave it late, because this everyone will say everything makes and breaks the website, because everything has to be in harmony, and I should just caveat saying, please do not panic, because I had a website for 12 years that was basically, it was good enough, and I'd outgrown it probably 6 years ago, but because I didn't quite feel, I knew my business was changing, and I knew energetically that I wanted to do something different and I wanted to show up differently. And in fact, it was the pandemic that absolutely fast-tracked everything. And it was in May 2020 that I just went, oh my God, like if this hadn't have happened, I would have probably just coasted, just thinking things through. But I don't know about you, but I reevaluated my whole life. I reevaluated living. What was the purpose? What is this all about? What is happening? It was a massive kind of phoenix moment for me. And then I thought, oh gosh, now I know what I want to do with my business. Now I know what I stand for and what I don't stand for. And on my website it is crystal clear what I stand for. But I had a website for 12 years beforehand that was pretty messy. So please, no one panic and just think, oh gosh, I've got to get it right. All we do is our best, and our messages are always evolving. So I know there will be time when I will read my website again and I'll find better distinctions, and I will find ways to say things clearer. And the way that I work with color will evolve and move on. Mm-hmm. So all we can do is our best until our best is better. So I was just going to say, please don't, I didn't want people to all of a sudden kind of go into a panic. because my old website beforehand was nothing to look at.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it was, so
Yeah,
it's all
that's
okay. That's what I
really,
want to say.
really, really relevant point, because I'm sure there are many others who've also found, what they're thinking about their business now. They compare back to what they were thinking of over 2 years ago, pre-pandemic. There's been a lot of change.
It was a great soul shift change, wasn't it?
Rebranding and redoing my website as well. So I wouldn't be surprised that the website designers and people are doing very well at the moment with people rebranding. So I think it does make your work also really important. There's another thing that I wanted to ask you about, actually, that came from the book. It was about color constantly evolving, and you use the words new paradigm. Could you just say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's a new paradigm that's actually not that new, as in we had it before, we just lost it. So in the book, I describe how, I'm just trying to think back, about the Bauhaus. So before World War One, the world was incredibly colourful, incredibly colourful. Men wore colour. Houses were very there was a lot of colour. There were colour scientists and colour, there was and the artists. So it's when art and science really embraced one another. And in the 1920s, I think, or maybe just before that, there was a school in Germany called the Bauhaus, which was quite revolutionary of its time, in how they were asking, the artists to really explore themselves and explore how they used design, but also how they used color. And Johann Itten is one of the teachers that I refer to, and he would notice how the artists were using color palettes that were very much aligned with their own personalities, and he was doing a lot of research. And it was a very exploratory, revolutionary kind of school. That's the kind of school I would have loved to have gone to. And then that got shut down with Hitler. When he I don't even know if it's saying came to power, when he took over. And then World War One happened, and then World War Two. And what then? This is my own theory on this, but because of the wars and rationing, the most important thing was now getting back to function, which was food, shelter, clothing, housing, building a lot prefab very, very quickly, because those very, very basic human needs was what was needed. And anything that was considered decorative or pretty was superfluous, right? There was just no time for that. But that was also around well-being. It was around anything that was sensory. So color is one of the things to do with sensory design, but it was to do with smell and texture and anything sort of spiritual, well-being. All of that was really put to one side, because it was I would say it was very black and white, right? It was just very orderly, functional, practical, and it was all about practical. And so everything that was pre the wars almost got lost, because even when you look at design or designers, I mean, yes, in the 1960s there was a lot of color, and the 1970s was quite a lot. But then what ended up happening, then we went to a world of grey and world of white, and then black, and then we've gone to a complete world of grey in this beginning of this century. So my idea of saying about the new paradigm is that color is constantly evolving, but what the new paradigm shift is that we are looking color now than something that's just something pretty and something that's decorative and something that's an afterthought. And you're going to order your kitchen cabinets. Well, what color do you want? Oh, you're going to order that rug. What color do you want? I'm going to do your logo. What color do you want? It's color is far more than that. And if we can be far more conscious of the color choices that we make, and be far more conscious about the emotive, what's the word? The influence that color has, but also something I've not mentioned at all is that the importance that color has on our behavior and how it can influence our behavior. And I guess the paradigm shift that I'm talking about is not using color as something for a mood or a feeling, which is what is often talked about. Me making this shift and making this evolutionary change and taking color forward is about how color can influence our behavior, but how we can do it on a way that is positive. And so that's really what I'm saying. And this evolutionary change, I'm coming up with new theories and new ideas and new concepts, and I'm testing new things all the time because I'm always looking for patterns of behavior. And I see patterns of the way people are doing things, or patterns of the way colors are being used. And I delve into that to have a look and see what is under that. And then I come up with frameworks, and then I basically set out to break them, because that makes things more robust when you can find the gaps. And all those frameworks is then what I use with my clients. So it's just, so that's what I mean by evolutionary. In fact, just the other week, I've come up with a theory of how to measure color in the home or in the built environment, which has always been told it can't happen. And if you tell me something can't be done, I am that child who will find a way to do it. So I've been working on a theory for quite some time, and I've kind of cracked a nut, and now I'm testing it. But I'm sort of, the idea though is to keep on testing it, because if you can find a fault or a gap in it, that's how you make it better and improve it. And that's really what science is. Science is gathering data, science is simply gathering data and how that data is interpreted, which is why two scientists can have very different views on the same thing. So I very much am testing my theories, and then I'm going to speak about them, wait for people to shoot me down, because that's what they do. And I'll go, great, you found a gap, fantastic. I'll go and research and look into that. So yeah, that's what I mean by a new paradigm, because we need to make color work better and harder for us and more in our favor than something we just slap on afterwards. Or even like concrete still has a color, or wood still has a color, but let's use it to its full advantage, and help us heal, help us to improve our well-being. If it's something that's around everyone all of the time, why not use it in a positive way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those are fabulous points. Karen, could you tell the audience a little bit more if they would be interested in working with you, where they get that information, maybe a little bit about your services? And I know you also have a free gift to offer them.
Yes, I do. I have two. So I have two websites. So the book is for the everyday person, but it is very well received by the design community, because they have found that by reading this, they understand their clients a lot better, because their clients' fears of color, and trying to open, because a lot of designers find it, or professionals who talk about color find that it helps them open up more conversations and gets the color conversation started. But a lot of designers say that it fills a lot of gaps for them, and a lot of things that they didn't quite understand because they might have been too technical or too scientific, is that this simplifies it. And so I have a website that's called thelittlebookofcolor.com, and you will see there that you can actually download the first chapter for free. So that's one thing there.
Color spelled the British way with a U?
Oh yes, the British way. Yes. Will you have these links at the bottom?
I will, yeah.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So yeah, the little book of color with a U.com. And then on my consultancy website, and this is for business owners who are looking for their own branding, or for people who actually design professionals. I have a website called karenhuller.com, and on there is a free ebook for design professionals on ways that color can basically trip you up. So it's the the 10 myths that limit you using color successfully, but that's for the designers. And that's also a free ebook. And then on that website too are my professional color courses.
Great. Okay, that's lovely. Thank you so much, Karen. And you have a gift for the audience today?
Oh, that's the 2 gifts.
Oh, right. Okay.
The 2 free ebooks.
So those,
the 2 free
those gifts will be in the links.
Yeah, those 2 free ebooks. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's been really fascinating.
Oh, you're welcome. If we could, I know we've overrun a bit. We could talk forever.
No, we could talk forever on color because it's an interest of mine as well. So yeah,
it's a universal subject, isn't it? Yeah,
it's a universal subject as well. But I think there's so many really useful and thought-provoking points you've given there to people with with regard to becoming more conscious of color in their life, how they can use it effectively.
And just enjoy it. That's the way. Just love it and enjoy it. And if you love it, you know what? Give it a go. Don't worry what anyone else thinks. Right? This is you. So, it's not about what will other people think? Who cares? Who cares? And if this is very much about the creative, spiritual, healing design community, and in fact we all are, because if we all come back to our heart, then we know that it's about showing up authentically. So that's my challenge for everybody, is maybe if you just need to do that at home, even wear clothes at home to build up your confidence before you go out, because that's what I had to do with pink. I really did not have a good relationship with pink many years ago, and I ended up wearing it to bed because that was the only way I could wear it. And then I started wearing it. When I got comfortable with that, I wore it in the house. And it was monumental the first day that I walked down to the markets and actually had pink on. And I went, God, like, no one's even looking, and it didn't kill me. I'm alive. It's okay. So, I wear a pink a lot more now. But I just took it very, very gently. Yeah. You don't have to pull the plaster off or the Band-Aid off. You just do it very gently.
Yeah, it's a journey for sure.
Oh, it is. It is.
Developing a relationship with color. Well, thank you so much, Karen. It's been great.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.